Hey, Vikings fans, you are listening to the Purple People podcast. We are revamped and all kinds of new for you guys this week. I'm Kyle West. I am accompanied by Adam Carlson.
We're live.
We are live.
This is scary, folks. Scary stuff.
This is a lot of fun. I'm
this is
super
face
looking
for radio
forward.
right here.
Yeah,
No face for video. But we got the March Madness going on. But the real March Madness, as we all know, is free agency, and it's always March Madness when you're a Vikings fan. Always. So let's do the show.
We have a lot to talk about because we actually recorded a show last week and we had problems with the Skype recording.
Yeah, we did.
And we lost the audio, so we apologize for that one. So we have twice the podcast coming at you guys.
We got a lot of information. We're going to be talking for a while, so sorry, you guys. But at least this time, we want to stretch out everything, which would be nice.
Although Adam, before we get to the quick hits, I saved something for you because this is our first video show, and I could not have timed this any better. Look at what showed up in the mail today.
Oh, there it is.
That is our legacy brick. It is really nice. I like it a lot.
I can't wait to see it out in front of the stadium. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so anyone that goes to the Vikings stadium, look for us. We are going to be there somewhere. Maybe I bet we will be on that boat.
I'm guessing we're going to be on the boat too. I'm looking forward to being on that boat.
Me too.
But I'm also looking forward to recording episode number 195 of the Purple People podcast. And this one is titled Volbeat It.
Yeah.
As you know, the big rock concert going on. U.S. Bank Stadium. Going to have that big concert with Metallica, Avenged Sevenfold, Volbeat. And they're also going to do Luke Bryan for people that like country music, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Gotta appease the masses, Adam.
Hey, a little bit for everybody. I mean, country music ain't my thing, but what can you do? Can't make everybody happy all the time.
No.
And I do see that we are now live on YouTube as well. So if you're on YouTube chatting, I don't know if we can see you in our group chat, but maybe?
Maybe. We don't know yet. Question mark. This is all pretty new to us. We'll figure it out.
In the future, what we're going to do is we're going to try to take all this stuff together because we're so new to this.
Mm-hmm.
And try to piece it together, try to figure out what's going on because we want to interact with you guys on the show and I know that we can't just cram everybody into the hangout. If we get more people, hopefully more people will start joining and chatting. But maybe we'll keep up YouTube if that's where all the chatter's at. And then we can chat with you guys over there, bring up your points that you're messaging over there. Because it'd be nice to know what you guys are thinking as we're going.
Mm-hmm.
A nice interactive chat. You guys can ask us questions, answer our questions. Be a lot of fun.
Yeah, especially, and like what we were talking about before we started recording, Adam, is that once it gets down to game season time, when, hey, it's Sunday, the Vikings have had a big win, and we're all super excited, or, we just lost and we're all pissed off, and we can get together and we can have people join us, and we can all vent together at once, or we can all be happy together at once and talk about the games, and we'll be advertising times that we're going to record so that you guys can plan and get on, and we hope to see everyone out there.
Yeah, we can call us donkeys for picking our donkeys and everything. It's going to be great.
That'll be fun.
Looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was one of our quick hits. We also got a long time back, so we're going to be covering a lot of material here. Baltimore Ravens signing Mike Wallace to a 2-year deal. That happened. More
power to them. Addition by subtraction. Yeah, it's addition by subtraction for the Vikings for getting rid of Mike Wallace. He never fit with Teddy Bridgewater. It just was not. It didn't work out for the team, and
no, it wasn't good for him. It wasn't good for the team. Yeah. It works out good for both parties to part ways there. Mm-hmm. Just doesn't make sense. Josh Robinson goes to Tampa Bay. It's another one of those situations too. The Vikings didn't really have a role for Josh Robinson. He's got speed. He's got some talent. Hopefully they can use him better in Tampa Bay than Minnesota was able to, but you never know. Fingers crossed that he can find himself a nice home there.
And this is the definition of a player who needs a change of scenery, in my opinion, is that his time in Minnesota was just up, and he wasn't always thrown into the best of situations on this team. When they would tell him, go cover Calvin Johnson, or go cover Brandon Marshall, is not exactly playing to his strong suits. So hopefully in Tampa, they're able to find a better role for him. He's a good guy. He's a great guy. Never issues with him on that front. Just not really too much of a scheme fit, I don't think, for Mike Zimmer at this point.
A big shout out to Skull Vikes 5 who has joined us in the chat on YouTube. Nice to have you there with us.
Awesome.
We have Robert Blanton signing with the Buffalo Bills. Another guy that I don't know what it is, but Mike Zimmer has Mike Zimmer guys. And Robert Blanton isn't a bad player. He isn't. He can help out Buffalo, who really needs help in that secondary. So hopefully he can go there and get things done, and he can be a guy over there. Mike Zimmer has his vision for the defense, and sadly, Robert Blanton isn't a part of it.
Robert Blanton can definitely be a guy over there. I'm okay with him being over there. A holdover from the Leslie Frazier era defense of Minnesota, and I was never too big of a Robert Blanton fan. I honestly didn't even know that he signed with Buffalo. It was news to me. But
Buffalo's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Vikings had petitioned to change the name of Chicago Avenue outside of U.S. Bank Stadium. That petition was denied. So as of now, it's going to stay Chicago Avenue, even though the Vikings don't like that too much.
It'll happen eventually. They will get the name change. Not right now. Minnesota has done a lot to kind of appease the Vikings, and maybe this is like one of those issues where they don't really feel like forcing it too much, which is fine for me. There's still time for all the fans to petition Minneapolis and get them to change the name to the Purple People Podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, right out in front of the Vikings Stadium. You guys can do it. I believe in you.
I don't want you to bribe anyone to do that. That's the bad thing.
No, I have no money. I'm poor.
No, it's just bad. According to CBS Sports, the Minnesota Vikings now have the most expensive offensive line in the NFL for the 2016 season. And I think it's more bulk than it is the contracts themselves. And a lot of that is Matt Khalil, who has a big, big contract this year at $11 million.
Yeah, it's an expensive deal. I wish they could have reworked it with him. I understand why they didn't. But I like the money and the time that they appear to be investing in the offensive line. It's like they listened to the show, Adam. Because didn't we spend all season, talking about how the Vikings need to improve on the line, and I feel like they are doing so and continuing to do so. So
every week it felt like we were harping on the offensive line every week.
It's because they were awful. I know there's that list of, what was it, Pro Football Focus?
Yeah.
Maybe that ranked them 14th overall, and I don't care.
I don't see it.
I'm going to go the North Turner route. And
it's like you and I always say, we aren't numbers people. We do the eye test. If something looks wrong, it's probably wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that Adrian couldn't get running and the way that left side of the offensive line kept falling apart, something had to happen. The Vikings went out in free agency, got a couple guys to help out. I think it'll be all right. And hopefully they're anticipating to get some guys back healthy. Fingers crossed.
And I believe we talked about it before, where Minnesota, I believe Teddy was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league last year. And you can talk about him needing to take steps, and progress as a quarterback. Well, if you don't have time to do it, if you don't have time to make his reads, then he's never going to progress. So you have to keep Teddy upright if you want him to continue to develop as a quarterback. And
if you want to take deep shots, you need that offensive line to protect long enough for it to develop.
Yeah, exactly. You want him to get the ball in your playmaker's hands like Stephon Diggs, but the guy's got to have time to run routes down the field. And Teddy has to be able to while they do so. And that starts at the offensive line.
It absolutely does. We got a couple rule changes going on in the NFL. The extra points will stay at the distance that they went for last year.
Mm-hmm. I'm fine with that.
What's that?
I said I'm fine with that. I like that. It was a good rule change.
The new touchback rule will bring touchbacks out to the 25-yard line. This is going to be an interesting one. Because Cordarrelle, when he ran out, usually got to about that 20-21 area. And gambling on him to break it is a little rough. But the question is, will teams now be kicking it a little shorter in hopes of stopping teams before they get to the 25? If so, that's a big benefit to Cordarrelle. If not, it's really no difference.
I like this rule change. I do, because it does add that extra little bit of,
I think, there's some more strategy involved now.
Yeah, initially I've not been liking what they've been doing. I've kind of felt like they were trying to take like kickoffs and punt returns out of the game. And maybe the NFL realized that as well too, because they're starting to do a few things that are making special teams more of a vital part of your game planning. Because, like you said, before when Cordarrelle's taking it out and he's getting to the 20, 21 yard line, you're not losing field position.
No.
But now, and it's a game of inches. It's a cliche, but it really is. If you're talking
yards can make a big difference.
If you're talking about a 5-yard difference now, that's a sizable amount. And
it's true.
Yeah, you got a game plan for that now too. So I like it.
We got a question on YouTube. Skull Vikings 5 says, quick question. Who do you think will replace with Andre Smith coming in place? Will he replace Khalil or Lodeholt? I don't see him replacing either one, to be honest. Right now, I think that Lodeholt would be the most likely, to considering that he's got the major problem going on with his Achilles, and they're not sure where he's at. But I do think that with the money they've given Matt Khalil, and with how much work he's been putting in with his knees, I don't see any way they would ever yank him.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. They're all chips in on Matt Khalil at this point, and until he's completely busts out of the team, he's not going anywhere. If I had to guess, it would be Phil Lodeholt. You know, he's restructured his contract to take a lesser deal. That's kind of a sign that maybe he might not be a shoo-in as a permanent starter on the team.
Could very well be a three-way competition there.
Yeah, when training camp opens up, I do believe that he will be the one that's going to be penciled in as the starter. But as we've talked about before, I don't necessarily know if it's going to stay that way.
It's definitely going to be penciled, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We also got an NFL game in 2018 will be being played in China. I'm on the fence about this one. I like opening up the NFL to bigger audiences, and China is a massive audience. You saw what happened when they got into the NBA. Basketball just exploded. So maybe if the NFL can get a little bit of a foothold there in China, they can start appealing to more of the world. And who knows, maybe even an NFL China, and then you could have like the National Football League take on the Chinese Football League in a super duper bowl.
Super duper bowl, Adam. They should not put you in charge of naming things.
Why not? Super duper bowl is great.
No. I love football. I'm all for more people enjoying football. We're going to start traveling out and sending teams to China and London and wherever else they're talking about. They need to start thinking about either expanding the regular season and then giving teams like maybe 2 bye weeks, because I don't like the amount of travel that's going to be involved in sending teams all the way to London, all the way to China. But that's logistics for them to figure out. My big sticking point is that we get the fancy new stadium in Minnesota. Us fans are all excited. We're going to go support our team in US Bank Stadium. And potentially now you're sending home games away from our home market. And maybe that sounds selfish, but we fought for the stadium. We want to support the Vikings. I don't want to see our team lose home games to go play in China, where it's going to be a novelty to those people.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal when the Vikings are playing at the Metrodome or when they're playing at US Bank.
Yeah.
The new facility is going to be amazing. I don't see the Vikings giving up a lot of that. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, send some of the lower tier teams over to China. Send
lower tier teams. Come on.
Yeah, send Cleveland and RG3. Send them to China. Outsource the Browns to China, Adam.
No, don't.
That's what you do. That's what you do in a failing economy. You send them to China.
The last quick hit we got is that the NFL has been proposed to make 2 unsportsmanlike fouls in one game and immediate ejection. I like this rule. I do. I think it's about time.
I'm clapping.
I know that they're saying put a skirt on them and all this kind of stuff. But there's a difference between playing football by the rules, following the rules, hitting hard, rather than trying to hurt someone or playing too physical or trying to get an advantage by using things that are not allowed in the game. So those kind of personal fouls, I believe 2 of them, that's fair.
I think it is too, because most of the time when you get a personal foul, like, you can tell that you've earned it. Like, you've earned your personal foul. You've done something you ought not have done.
And accidents do happen. That's why there's 2.
Sure. You get a gimme, and then just don't poke someone in the eye afterward, and you'll be fine. This should not be an issue.
In charge of Josh Norman. Don't do that.
Yeah. Inevitably, because we're Vikings fans, this is going to happen to us at some point when it shouldn't. But we're used to it, right?
The rules always seem to have some sort of impact on the Vikings. I don't know why, but it does.
I'm going to jinx this by saying it, but we'll be in a playoff game, and they will find a way to eject Harrison Smith.
Oh, no. Don't know.
Did I just jinx us?
I think you might.
But doesn't that sound like something that could happen?
There were 5 Vikings players who came back to the team on deals. Marcus Sherrill's on 2 years, and all these guys came back on 1-year deals. Matt Asiata, Red Ellison, Terrence Newman, Justin Trattoa. I like all those guys coming back. I like it.
Good depth in all of them. And again, this is a depth chart underneath my being inked in. It is being wrote in pencil. So just because Marcus Sherrills is back, or even Terrence Newman, doesn't mean that they're going to be starting or even on the roster. But I like all the signings because it's all about acquiring talent this time of year that are known quantities for the team, and let's bring them back and let's shake up the roster with some other signings and some draft picks and put together the best 53.
And we're seeing something from the Vikings that we haven't seen in a long time. The Vikings growing, developing, and keeping their own talent. I know a lot of these guys aren't top-tier talent on the team. I mean, you aren't going to look at Red Ellison and say this guy is an essential piece of the team. Without him, the Vikings are going to fall apart. You're not going to say that.
I think he's pretty important part of the team.
But Red Ellison is an important guy in the scope of the team. But he's not one of those top-tier guys. Still, having the team grow and develop these players, even though they're role players or situational guys or something like that, having them stay with the team is a big deal.
Yeah, and it's something that we've talked about for a long time, is that the team underneath Rick Spielman is really going to a draft and develop mentality where you draft talented players and then you reward them with large contracts instead of going out in free agency and picking up players that are looking for a big payday and hoping that you can win with the draft and develop approach that Spielman and the Vikings are currently doing, because that's where championships are won.
We talked a little bit about the Andre Smith signing. 1 year, $3.5 million. The Vikings also signed former San Francisco 49ers tight end Brian Leonard to a 1 year, $600,000 contract. I believe that is Rhett Ellison insurance right there.
Competition breeds success. Important thing to remember. And I like it. I don't know really much about him. I'll have to spend some time and familiarize myself a little bit.
I know he worked with the guy the Vikings just brought in to work with the offensive line.
Oh, yeah, the line coach that I'm drawing a blank on that I shouldn't.
Yeah, the name escapes me right now, but I know who I'm talking about. I just can't remember it.
No, I'll think of it halfway through the show. I'll blurt it out.
There you go. Tony Sperano.
Hey, there you go. Donuts for Adam.
I had to think of The Sopranos. I always got to go there. 4 Minnesota Vikings players that are new to the roster have picked their numbers. Alex Boone will wear 76, Michael Griffin 33, Travis Lewis number 50, and Emmanuel Lamore number 59.
I like 76 on Alex Boone.
Oh, that's a beautiful number.
Yeah, you guys know whose number that was, right? It's Steve Hutchinson. So if he can be a half the player, half signing that Hutch was for this team, oh boy. And I have high expectations for Alex Boone, so I hope he's able to deliver.
He's one of those physical, strong players that, even though he finished last year injured, he could come back strong, be an important part of that offensive line, help Matt Khalil. Because let's be honest, Charlie Johnson there struggled. Brandon Fusco had one heck of a time. Now he really doesn't have much of an excuse. I mean, Boone has proven that he can get it done at left guard.
This is prove-it season for Matt Khalil. He either gets it done now or he's out, because they're not going to continue to pay him what they are currently paying him.
No, not happening.
And you're 100% right. He's out of excuses. He's as healthy as he's been. He's got the most talented player that he's had lined up next to him. Get out there and get it done.
Absolutely. Let's go into the social media question of the week, and then we'll do the offensive line. We'll switch it up a little bit.
Okay. I had to pull up the roster for the offensive line anyway, so that works out.
Absolutely. All right, so we asked you guys on Facebook and Twitter, but I'm only looking on Facebook. Sorry, Twitter folks. We asked you guys, if backup quarterback Sean Hill were to retire today, which free agent quarterback would you rather have the Vikings pick up to back up for Teddy? Johnny Manziel, RG3, Christian Ponder, or Tim Tebow? As we saw, RG3, of course, was the first of the four to go. He landed a gig there in Cleveland, so good luck to him there. But we got some really fun answers from you guys on this. Vaughn Alexander Rose likes Ponder because he's familiar with the team and he's not a distraction. Brandon Alice says the only one who wouldn't cause a media circus would be Ponder. Got a lot of folks thinking about that locker room, keeping that safe. Dave Hickey says RG3 because he has a strong arm. He's pretty accurate, and but he tries to make too many plays with his feet. He thinks that Christian Ponder sucks, Tebow is worse, and Menzel's a head case.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Eddie Self, a guy after Kyle West's heart here, says Tim Tebow, all he does is win.
I should have worn my Tebow jersey.
No Tebow.
I got it. It's right over there.
Ken Tallman says, that's like asking, would you rather be eaten alive, buried alive, burned alive, or drowned? Oh, that's fun. Rob Haspel says, I'll take my chance with Taylor Heineke. Dylan Goslin says, out of those four, RG3, he's the most capable. Corbin Johnson says, Tebow, playoff experience, and he's a Christian, not afraid to say it. Hey.
Yeah.
Why not? Sonny Rojas says, screw those guys, Taylor it is, and I don't blame him. Of those, I think I'd rather have Taylor Heineke too, but even though he's not one of the options, guys. Not one of the options.
They always like to add options that we don't give them every week.
Rick Jacobson loves Tebow. Kyle Hildenbrand loves Tebow. Josh Hushkins doesn't care as long as it's not Manziel. And then we got lots of Tebow, Manziel or Tebow, RG3. This guy going for a great Brewster's Millions, none of the above. Love that movie. Anyone but Manziel, RG3, Tebow, lots of RG3. This guy says he'd rather go without a backup quarterback than have one of those four. John Dostal says if Tim Tebow had a thought, is it a Christian Ponder? I love that, man. That's
great. Maybe.
Darren Roach says we could pick up Manziel to be the team's party planner. And Frank Riley says RG3.
I am surprised there was not more support for Ponder. You know that? I mean,
well, considering the way things ended for Ponder, I don't see a lot of the fan base really accepting him back. He tried his hardest. It just didn't come together for him. And I don't know if I'm allowed to call him Super Bowl champion Christian Ponder.
See, I don't think so, because he didn't play in the Super Bowl on the roster. I know he had a brief stint with the team, but that doesn't count.
When they went undefeated. They were undefeated with Christian Ponder on their roster.
You're stretching, sir. You were stretching.
Undefeated. 0 losses with Christian Ponder.
Enough of. So who are you picking out of the 4 of them? Well, 3 of them now. Who are you picking, Adam?
I would have picked RG3.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, he's the best option of them. After that, it's Christian Ponder, who I think could be a decent career backup.
You know who I'm going with.
The same guy Skull Vikes 5 is going with in the YouTube chat, I bet.
Yeah, Tim Tebow. You gotta go with Tim Tebow. I mean, come on, man. We're talking about backup. You don't gotta start. And like I said in the show that we lost, that I'm going to get flack for, but all you Teddy haters out there that say Teddy can't throw a deep ball, guess what? Neither can Tim Tebow. So therefore, shouldn't he fit with the Vikings system already?
Oh, snap.
Yes, he should, right? Oh, come on. It'd be fun. It's a fun thing to think about. It'll never happen. They don't want the media circus behind that, but I would bring him in. I would welcome him on this team in a heartbeat. Johnny Manziel can stay as far away from my Vikings as possible.
Oh, that Johnny Manziel.
the head case, and we do not need that.
I'm really wondering what's going to happen with him.
He's going to get it.
Some team is going to take a chance on him because if they bring him on as a 2 or 3, the risk is low.
Yeah. See, I don't think any team is going to risk it. Like, I think the PR hit that you're going to take for him is almost equivalent to Ray Rice. Like, he's almost at that point.
I wouldn't go that far. Goodness gracious.
I would. Seriously, I would. There's the video evidence.
Then you're in the world to be talking about your team. You'll be getting more primetime games just for having him on your roster. It's money.
I don't think so.
It's money.
No can do. Don't want him. Don't need the money.
Next week, we'll be talking about Cordarrelle Patterson for our social media question of the week. We'll be asking you, do you still believe Cordarrelle Patterson can become an impact wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings? We know what he can do as a kick returner, but wide receiver, we're looking to see.
It's debatable.
It's going to be fun to see what you guys think, because I know a lot of folks think he's too talented and he's going to break out. A lot of folks think that he's already a bust because he can't perform a lot of the things. A lot of people think the coaching staff's holding him back. Who knows? We want to hear from you guys. See what you guys think.
I think the only thing holding Cordarrelle back is Cordarrelle Patterson.
Oh.
That's it. Just go get it done, 84. We want to see you do it. We all want to be big Cordarrelle Patterson fans, so just get it together. But your time is coming short. It's coming short.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about the offensive line. We're going to keep it kind of short. So let's start with the offensive tackles. Like we said, we got Matt Khalil on the left. We don't see that changing at all because of the investment they have in him. This is essentially his big chance to prove that he's worthy of a long-term deal and that he can hold down that left tackle spot. That's going to be the spot. We see the big competition going on at right tackle. TJ Clemmings, for being thrown in as a rookie, did a decent job last year. There were times he was over his head, but that's bound to happen for a rookie thrust into a starting gig, especially a position like right tackle where he was meant to be this road grader that they were talking about playing at right guard, but instead he had to protect against some of the best pass rushers in the NFL. When you're asked to go one-on-one with a guy like Von Miller, it's just brutal.
And I think he did an admirable job for what he was asked to do.
Yeah, and a lot of people were upset that that TJ Clemmings got bonuses based on his 16 games played, and I was like, what? He earned all that money.
For sure.
Yeah, he wasn't stellar. He wasn't a all-pro at the position. He was a rookie thrust into a job, played all 16 games, did a decent job, and I could see him keep growing and developing and getting better. So fingers crossed to him there. We did talk about Smith and Lodeholt with his injury. It's going to be a weird competition there going on. That's one to watch in training camp. It's going to be fun. And who knows, maybe even one of those guys will shoot inside. You never know.
I tell you what I'm looking forward to, Adam, is that I think there will be competition at the center as well. We know John Sullivan spent most of last year out on IR for the Vikings.
True.
He had, was it two back surgeries?
Yeah, he had a big back surgery, and then he tried doing some rehab on it, had a big setback, and had to go back in for another surgery.
Love John Sullivan, been a big fan of him for his tenure with the team, but it's not a sure thing coming off an injury like that. And I love the potential of Nick Easton. He was the big Harvard player that the Vikings were able to pick up via trade from the 49ers, I believe.
In the Gerald Hodges deal.
Yes, the Gerald Hodges deal. And he graded out extremely high. Didn't you have something for the preseason where he was one of their highest graded?
He was the highest rated center of the preseason. Of course, he played against
there's a name,
but you never know.
That's why you always take those kind of grades for what they're worth. It's a part of the evaluation process. But I am definitely looking forward to seeing what kind of competition Nick Easton can bring for John Sullivan. We also had another
Joe Berger too. Joe Berger's getting a little older. He's a guy that's only going to be able to hold down there for a while. He's good at either guard spot or center. He can fill in at either spot. He's one of those guys that is just too valuable to the interior of that offensive line.
I think coming into this season, you're looking at Berger as being kind of a backup backup role at probably the guard, but he is also really good insurance at center. If they do decide to roll with Nick Easton and then maybe it's not working out, you can step Berger in, and he should play fine for the team.
It's true. Any spot they want to fill him in at the middle, it's good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But what's going to be interesting to see is Boone at that left guard, as we said, bringing Fusco back to the right, where he seems to feel a lot more comfortable. And let's be honest, the right guard position is a lot easier to pull off than the left guard position. It sounds dumb because they're both on the offensive line. They're both the same spots on the offensive line, similarly, if you flip it with the mirror. But that left guard is asked to do so much more in pass protection that it's kind of a really different ship. And Fusco didn't really have that, but he is that road grader that will be able to be a lot more effective over there and bring in Boone to be able to shift him back over the side. And now you got Mike Harris, who they brought back, who, in my opinion, he was one of the best Minnesota Vikings offensive linemen last year. Now they got him as a solid backup as well. If anyone goes down on the inside of that Vikings offensive line, there are some great options, solid backups, and you can't complain there. And same with the tackles. I know a lot of people don't think that Andre Smith or TJ Clemmings are that great at players, but either one of them I'd feel confident plugging in the middle of a game if something happened.
I like TJ Clemmings. He's my kind of guy. He's a gritty, tough player that, like we said, he was thrust into a really tough situation, and I thought he did admirably for what the expectations for him was coming into the season versus the role that he had to play. I'm looking forward to seeing how Mike Zimmer is able to continue to shape him, because that's the kind of players that you're being able to mold and get the most potential out of.
It's going to be fun to watch. And who else are we missing there?
Oh, let's see here.
Austin Wentworth.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Zach Karen was another center that we did not touch upon. We've got 3 centers on the roster.
Yeah, they must be quite concerned about. And when you add in Berger, that's another one. Yeah, so they have a lot of guys that can play center. Easton, Sully, Berger, and Kieran. So they're set there.
Berger, Boone, Fusco, Harris. Those are the guards. Jeremiah Searles.
Oh, I forgot about him.
Yeah. Guard/tackle is what they got him listed as.
Yeah, he was pretty good for the Chargers for a while.
Mm-hmm. Again, like we talked about, Adam, is that it's lots of competition this year for the team on the line. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it.
For sure. And that's all I have for this week. If you got anything else you want to add in, Mr. West?
Just gotta tell everyone that thanks for sticking with us the first time that we've done the live show. So we look forward to improving upon this format and getting some good interaction with you guys. Hopefully, we can get Kyle Smith on here sometime soon. It'd be fun to have him with us as always.
And as we get more interaction too on YouTube, the YouTube seems to be a little bit behind our stream, so the questions and comments come in a little late. But as always, we have no problem going back and talking about some of the things. It can be a lot of fun just to interact.
We were even talking about doing a thing where if we say that we're going to record at like 9 o'clock is when the show is going to start, but maybe we'll be online at like 7 o'clock, and we'll just have the stream going, and we'll just be chatting football. If we get enough people that want to come in the chat room, we can just sit around and chat football and whatever's going on beforehand.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, we thought about maybe doing some giveaways as well, too. You never know.
Yeah, I got some Viking stuff hanging around.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get a couple plugs in here, as always. My work on the Viking Age, I've been doing draft profiles. All the top draft picks I've been talking about. I'm trying to talk about how they'd fit in with the Vikings, how I feel about them, their positives, negatives, a lot of their measurables from the combine, stuff like that. I think they're really interesting reads. I know a lot of people don't really read them on the Viking Age. I think that's kind of a shame, because this is how watching the game tape on the players, seeing what other people have to say about him, seeing who the other people compare him to, is a great way to learn about all these prospects and try to figure out how they'd fit with the Vikings and whether or not the Vikings should take a chance on them. So head on over to the Viking Age. I have almost all of the potential first-round draft picks done already. I even squeezed in a couple of late-round sleepers just to keep people awake. And I know that I pimp this every week. Undead Walking, The Walking Dead, it's so close to the Season 6 finale, and it is going to be mind-blowing. So you aren't going to want to miss it.
I'm looking forward to it. Maybe we'll do a live Walking Dead special sometime.
We are actually Undead Walking. Some of us on there are talking about trying to do a podcast or a live show like this. So with this being so far kind of a success, maybe this would be something that we could do over there as well.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I'd listen. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Be a guest. You call me in for a guest on that one. That'd be cool.
That'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And with that, that's all I have. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening. I'd like to thank Skull Vikes 5 for coming on in and recommending that Jared Allen can come in and be the backup quarterback. Oh, do I love that idea.
Oh, my God. That was the funniest thing. That gif of Jared Allen throwing the football is the best thing. The best thing in the history of things. I love that so much.
So much fun. Like I said, thanks again to Skull Vikes 5. So good to have you here. Hopefully we can get more people on next week. I think that it'll be a lot better when we can start scheduling some times and getting things worked out from that. And for now, we're just going to be kind of putting up, hey, we're recording in 10, 15 minutes. But you can get notifications, too, if you subscribe to us on YouTube. It'll send you a notification when we go live. So if you're sitting at home doing nothing, you're subscribed to us on YouTube, you'll get a notification that we're live. You can come on in and join us and chat with us. So that'd be kind of nice. And as always, stay classy, Minnesota.